That's sufficient. Question number 2, the Honourable Tau Henare.
Speaker, my question is to the
I want
Minister
to hear
of
the Honourable Tau Henare.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. What progress is the government making to ensure New Zealand's economic growth is sustainable and supports jobs and higher incomes?
The Honourable Steven Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, I can report the government is making good progress. Since 2008, we've been working hard through our broad-based economic program to support business competitiveness in areas such as the tax system, exporting, skills, innovation, infrastructure, capital markets and resources. We're seeing good results. The economy is now growing moderately well compared to the rest of the world. A net 57,000 more New Zealanders now have jobs than 2 years ago. Household saving is positive for the first time in more than a decade, and total goods and services of exports have increased 15% over the last 2 years.
The Honourable Tau Henare.
Mr. Speaker, how is the New Zealand economy performing according to the latest official gross domestic product statistics?
The Honourable Steven Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, Statistics New Zealand last week, of course, reported the gross domestic product data for June quarter 2012. It showed the New Zealand economy grew 0.6% in the 3 months to the 30th of June, and growth for the first 6 months of the year was 1.6%. The quarterly growth was reasonably broad-based, including agriculture, up 4.7%, construction, up 3.3%, transport, postal and warehousing, up 2.7%, and manufacturing, up 0.8%. New Zealand's annual growth rate of 2.6% to June 2012 was the highest growth rate since 2007, before the domestic recession, the Canterbury earthquakes and the global financial crisis.
The Honourable Tau Henare.
Mr. Speaker, how does current progress in building a more productive and competitive economy compare with the situation in late 2008?
The Honourable Steven Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, New Zealanders can be reassured that New Zealand's current economic situation is much healthier than it was in late 2008. Annual economic growth is up to 2.6% compared to negative 1.7% in December 2008. The number of people on the unemployed benefit has declined from a peak of 93,000 at the height of the GFC to 58,000 in July of this year. The household savings rate is now in positive territory compared with negative 3% in 2008. The cost of living is flat, with CPI inflation only 1% to the year to June 2012 compared to 5.1% in 2008. The New Zealand share market is at a 4-year high, and average floating mortgage interest rates are 5.7% compared with almost 11% in 2008. This all shows, Mr. Speaker, that New Zealand is in pretty good shape compared to most other developed countries.
The Honourable Tau Henare.
Mr. Speaker, what reports has he seen on new projects that would create further investment and jobs?
The Honourable Steven Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, I see reports every day, and just yesterday I've seen a report on a project in regards to Bathurst Resources escarpment mines near Westport. This project would apparently immediately create 225 new jobs and incomes for workers and families on the West Coast. Unfortunately, it's being held up by ongoing litigation. Yesterday I saw a report calling for objectors of the mine to withdraw their appeals and consider the economic future of the West Coast. It prevailed upon various groups to join the call. As yet, I have seen no reports that the Labour Party, the local Labour MP, the EPMU or the Greens will support.
Order, I think the answer's gone on quite long enough. The Honourable David Parker.
Given the 8% decline in exports for the year to August, announced by Statistics New Zealand just today, and Treasury's prediction that our external deficit will get even worse, when will he accept that his plan is deficient, costing exports and jobs, and what's sustainable about that?
The Honourable Steven Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, I would point out to the member that New Zealand's exports have grown substantially since his government left office, and I'd point out that the balance of payments deficit, the external deficit, is considerably lower than when his government left office, but I suppose it's all relative, Mr. Speaker. We know that this government is better economic managers.
The Honourable David Parker.
When exports are declining, local businesses are closing, and thousands of Kiwis are losing their jobs and heading to Australia, why does he sit on his hands and pretend there's nothing he can do about our inflated currency?
The Honourable Steven Joyce.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Finance, I think I hear the printing presses cranking up on the Labor Party side. But, Mr Speaker, I'd point out to the member that he's incorrect. The decline in manufacturing jobs in New Zealand occurred under the previous government and through the GFC, and over the last 2 years the number of manufacturing jobs has actually grown.
Question number 3, Dr. Russell Norman.
Thank you,